Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Juan Rodas. Today we have Goalkeeper Steward Ceus from Colorado Switchback. Steward, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We know you're a professional goalkeeper. You probably have family as well, and thank you for taking your time out of the day doing this for me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, as we were speaking before, Stewart, you were born and well raised in West Haverstraw, New York. How was growing up there, and was that the only sport that you played, which was soccer, or were there other sports?
Growing up in West Haverstraw was cool. Yeah, I was born and raised in New York. West Haverstraw was a nice little town, just a county right in the Hudson Valley. Grew up around a lot of good people. A lot of I was raised in a very Haitian neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
or kind of upbringing. But I had friends of all different walks of life from all different places. So
Yeah.
I had a good, well-rounded upbringing. Soccer was my first sport. I started soccer when I was about 3. I started probably messing around with the ball.
Yeah.
I think I started playing organized recreational soccer about 5 years old, and then by 7, I was on my first club team, and that's when soccer became serious. It was like 7 years old,
Yeah. Yeah.
where I started traveling the country and stuff like that. Yeah, I was one of the soccer kids, traveling the country, playing tournaments all over the place and leagues all year round. And then about the age of 8 or 9, I picked up basketball and then started doing the same exact thing with basketball,
Mm-hmm.
playing pretty organized basketball throughout. And just after that, I picked up tennis,
Mm-hmm.
which rounded everything out for my sports.
Yeah.
And I dabbled in other sports. I played baseball in my town, won the championship for baseball.
Wow.
Uh, Played American football for 2 years in middle school, quarterback, kicker, because of my soccer background,
Mm-hmm.
and cornerback or free safety. And it was fun. I had a good time playing, but throughout my whole life, I knew soccer was my number one sport. My feet were always better. My feet and my hands have always been pretty equal, but
Yeah.
my feet were the first things I ever used. So
Okay.
I'm best with my feet at the end of the day. And then I'm just fortunate to have played all hand sports that required hand-eye coordination, which kind of rounded me out for being a goalkeeper. But as a soccer player, I played in the field up till about the age of high school. I played in the field as a defensive midfielder,
Wow.
sometimes striker, depending on if we needed goals, which is a lot of the reason why I'm capable of playing comfortably in the goal with my feet. And yeah, I started keeper at about ninth grade. I started on. It was the first goalkeeper position I ever had. Started on a varsity team. The coaches were aware of me. They knew me as a field player, but they told me when I came to high school I was going to be a goalkeeper. I didn't argue it. I was ready for a new challenge, and
Yeah.
I had quite a bit of burnout from soccer, from playing all those years of organized and club and championships and all that. So I was ready for a new position, and I just kind of ran with it. It was fun. It was new, and it was fun to learn the goalkeeper role. And yeah, so I grew up playing all different sports, all different types of disciplines, and kind of use them all to help me on the soccer field.
For sure. And you are 6'6", which is pretty tall. Were you that tall in high school, or were you smaller?
Yeah, so I reached my growth spurt in about 10th, 11th grade. Like earlier on in high school, I was maybe like 6'2". I was a shooting guard, point guard on the basketball team. I was still the goalkeeper on the soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I shot up in that summer because that's when I started, really being able to jump and dunk a basketball and all that by sophomore, junior year.
Wow.
And by junior year, I was about 6'5", I'd say, heading into senior year.
Yeah. Wow. So pretty tall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I
All
was
of
reading,
me skinny.
okay. As I was reading, you posted a school record of 36 shutouts, which is pretty good as a junior. Talk to us about how did you feel about that, and also when you did achieve that, did you feel that you were ready to reach to the next level, which was college?
Um, it was a great feeling. I was fortunate to play soccer and grow up playing soccer with a core group of guys that were my family, friends, and teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And we everything I did with the same kids, whether it was club, whether it was school, if it was, select tournaments and stuff like that, it was me and the same group of friends. So we took a lot of pride in our game and being good at soccer and going into big tournaments and playing against kids that we shouldn't be beating and actually beating up on them. And so in high school, I kind of knew how good we were, and I had a great defense around me, and I really believed in myself, and I thought as a unit we deserved all the shutouts that we got, because even early on in my career, my brother was my center back. Yeah. And that camaraderie is, you can't beat a brotherly duo in the back.
Good connection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was exactly like that. So I'd say it was a long time of training that led us to being at that level, and we were ready to, we were always looking for championships, and we were always fighting to be the best team possible in Rockland County, North Rockland.
For sure. And now transitioning forward, in 2009, you get selected by the Colorado Rapids. Talk to us about that feeling that, that you finally achieved your dream. And who did you call first? Was it your parents?
So 2009 was a crazy year. It was an amazing feeling getting drafted. It was a lot of work that I put into getting to that point. I mean, I have to thank everybody at my college that I played with, that guided me along. All my strength trainers, all the people that knew where I wanted to go and kind of gave me a guide of how to get there. And, I just put my head down and did the work they told me to do. And 100% they prepared me for every step of the way. And, it was shock and awe. It was relief. It was amazement. It was a little bit of everything. Just almost speechless, to be exact. And the first people I called were my family. I called my parents right away. And let them know I'm dropping out of college. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Straight to the pros. Yeah. I made it, Mom. But yeah, so it was an amazing time. It was something I almost didn't expect to get drafted. I didn't expect to be at the combine. It was just a work of God, I would say, because I knew what I possessed, and I knew my qualities, but you never know who's watching, so
exactly.
It just happened really quickly. I got a bunch of awards in college that, All-American and stuff like that, and I was just like, it happened so fast that it was hard for me to react, but I was in awe, and I'm just happy I had the right people around me to help me get there.
For sure. And you spent 5 years in Colorado. Is there any memory particular that you keep till today that you still think about?
Yeah, the group of guys in Colorado was special. It almost made me feel like I was back at home with my club, and the same camaraderie I felt back home with my club is what I had with the guys in Colorado, and together we achieved the championship. We worked day in, day out, trained, I think, probably harder than any other team in the country.
Wow.
On the field, off the field, we were solid professionals and great friends that loved to have a good time, and pushed each other. No matter where it was, there was competition everywhere around us. It was, whether it was in the morning, soccer, tennis in the locker room, which turned into bloody, sweaty battles. Ping pong tables were coming out.
FIFA tournaments?
FIFA tournaments every day. It was, the competition just never, it was always competition. Coaches were playing players at tennis in the mornings before training, basketball. It was every day something different, but every day something that helped us get better as athletes and individuals, and you're always working on some type of skill set. Extra training after, everybody would go, and then a bunch of guys would come and start working on parts of the game that, unless you understand the game, you don't know to work on,
Exactly.
And as a unit, we achieved it, and we had a great coaching staff, and Gary Smith and Steve Guppy and the rest of the staff that just put one sole process in our head, and just, we were ready for battle. So just doing that with that group of guys, and all the fun times after, and just being able to talk to them randomly on just a text message or here and there, just to see how they're doing, and you just know the kind of guys they were. They're all doing good, you know. So yeah, it was. I think that was a special moment in the Colorado time. That was 2010, and then I'd say between 2010 and 2012 was just great times on and off the field.
For sure, and like how you said, it's always special to have a family environment as a team, because that makes everything better. But now, after Colorado, you go to Finland in Europe on a trial, and you eventually sign with Narpes Kraft. How was it playing in Europe? Was it a dream that you fulfilled? And can you talk to us, the difference between Europe soccer and the MLS?
Yeah, my dream has always been to just play at the soccer level. That's the highest that I'm capable of playing at. And I demand a lot of myself, and I think I can play at the highest level possible. There's no league I don't think I can play in after my experiences.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, it's important for an athlete to be confident, and I think confidence comes from work. And I've worked really hard throughout my career to get myself to a point where I can say I can play anywhere. So that being said, the Finland experience was something that I had to have in order to continue my career. It was in a moment where I had spent 5 years as a Rapids number, going up and down between 2 and 3, starting as a 3, working my way up to 2, getting a shot at 1, and then finding my way back at 3. And then, questions, you ask yourself questions about the normal athlete questions. Do I belong? How I belong? And, that all comes about throughout the 5 years at the Rapids, and every time I asked myself that question, the answer was yes, because I'm playing against the best strikers in the world right now, in Connor Casey, Omar Cummings, players like that who are getting EPL, U.S. national team calls, including Pablo. I have national team defenders in front of me, so I understand the game at a level. I'm playing the game at a level of national team every day in training. People around me are national team players. So whenever I ask myself, do I belong in soccer in general, the answer was yes, because if I'm playing with these guys, there's a level that I can find that I'll be comfortable at to grow and become a better player, and then use that obviously to keep moving my way up. So the Finland, I read a book by Steve Harvey, Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success. And one thing that he mentioned in the first chapters of the book was that you have to take a leap of faith when you're ready to make a difference in your life. And I was literally I read that book in the winter of after my contract ended with the Rapids. And just weeks after, I get a call from an agent that there's a team in Finland that is taking a look at me. And I said, yeah, 100%, I'm going.
No doubt.
He told me it wasn't a high division team. I was going to take a massive pay cut. But I told myself I needed the experience in order to continue my career, because if you're not willing to work under fire, then you're not willing to work when it's all good,
Exactly.
So yeah, I went to Finland. It was the Kakkonen, which is essentially Division 3. So there's Veikkausliiga, there's the Championship First Division, and there's Second Division, which was out. So it was the third tier. So soccer wise, the level wasn't nearly as high as the MLS, but my level is not affected by the people around me, in the sense that I don't go down, I only move up, because I know where I am and I know what I have to work on. So just throughout my career, the sense was just work on what I need to work on, keep working on it, find places that will play me while I'm working on it. And so I went out there. I knew I needed games. I spent 5 years in Colorado, and I don't think I got over 10 professional games. I mean, I got great experiences with the national team. I got huge tournaments with the national team. I mean, I did play in Champions League with Colorado, which was a huge experience. Those are experiences that made me understand my level, So yeah, moving along, playing over there, I just applied myself. I worked on myself physically. I worked on myself the mental part of just being alone and solitary in a small town in Finland. No friends around. You have to make the friends, and it gave me a bigger worldview. As I can't do it on my own, you know. I have to make sure I make connections everywhere I go, so that, you know, because we are human beings, we have to have
connection.
You know, connection, and so yeah, everywhere I went, I've had great teammates. I've had great people in the towns that embrace me, and it was a part of. It was. I mean, it was my first experience. Because I would say that going to Colorado, I went home in the sense that I stayed there for so long. I was at home in Colorado.
Yeah.
And I still consider Denver a home city of mine because I almost feel equally as home in Denver as I do in New York.
Yeah.
So going to Finland was my first move away.
Wow.
My first real move away where culture changed, language changed.
Weather.
Weather drastically changed. Although the summer was beautiful, it was perfect. It was a perfect summer, but the weather did change. The everyday life changed. The food changed. I wasn't, you know, eating my normal Caribbean food. I was eating steak and potatoes and trying to see what. And my body was going crazy on me because of it. Yeah, just adapting, just learning how to adapt and assimilate in any culture and just move in a certain way where people know that I'm serious about what I'm doing. And if you're on my level with the growth that I'm looking for, we can hang out, and if not, I have to move on. Sorry, you know.
For sure.
And it's the mindset I take with everything, and yeah, I think Finland was monumental in me being able to carve out be able to call myself a career soccer player.
Most definitely. And as we keep on talking about Finland, was language a barrier for you? And how were the weather conditions? Extremely cold?
So I'll start with the weather conditions. I got there towards probably the first couple weeks of March, right before my birthday, actually. And it was just the tail end of the winter because April kind of brings in the nicer weather. And I will say, it was cold. It wasn't. I mean, it was probably very similar to a northeast winter. But I think a New York winter is just as bad. You know. Going through upstate New York winters prepared me for whatever winters I can spend. So yeah, between upstate New York, Finland, and Minneapolis, those were the three worst winters that I think you can get in the world. And I've spent winters in all of them, so it was interesting. Language wise, it was really cool because they all spoke Finnish, but their main language was a dialect of Swedish.
Oh, wow.
Because I was living on the west coast of Finland. Actually, they didn't all even speak Finnish. Some of them just spoke the Swedish dialect.
Wow.
But all people under pretty much the age of 50 spoke English because that was taught in schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were able to communicate with them in English?
So I was able to communicate in English, and I'm a linguist. I love languages. I love the English language. I speak French. I speak Creole fluently. And I just love learning new languages. I speak a bit of Spanish because of I played with and against all types of South American and Hispanic players. So I can top it up in, you know, enough Spanish for soccer players to respect me.
Un poco de español.
Un poco de español, you know, whatever I need to say. I grew up, my towns in New York were heavy with Dominicans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, all types of flavor and music and food that I wanted. My across the street babysitter was Dominican. So I had all the cultures around me, which was amazing. And it just made me interested in languages. It made me interested in food. I find every place I go, every single one of the cuisines that I love, and one of them is always Mexican, one of them is always probably some type of Caribbean, some type of South American, Cuba's Caribbean as well, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, I kind of do that, which kind of keeps me grounded as to, like, no matter where I go, there's always what I like, you know. And that being said, like, one of my best friends in Finland is a Jamaican chef. And I found the only two black guys in the town, and the other one's a Jamaican chef.
Wow,
and it was fun. He O'Neill, he's a great guy. Since I left, he just opened a really big restaurant in Narpez now. O'Neill's Kitchen it's called, and he's killing it out there. But yeah, it was it's just being able to have, I think the fact that I was around so many different cultures made it easier for me to assimilate and learn and be open to learning a new language. So I remember I was in Finland and I was telling myself I need to learn French better for the Haitian national team, even though they hadn't called me for like 2 or 3 years at the time. So I was watching movies in Swedish. I was learning Swedish, and then I was putting French subtitles under it.
Wow.
Movies that I would, know already in English, and then I just like use my phone for translating stuff that I didn't understand. And it was fun.
Wow. Okay.
I'm a fan of learning languages and a fan of learning people. Yeah.
That's good. Now you come back to the States after playing in Finland. You play for Atlanta Silverbacks, Minnesota United, and SF Deltas, where you were fortunate enough to become a champion. Talk to us about those different experiences.
Yeah, so I had a really good year in Finland, and leaving Finland, I thought in my head, I'm staying in Europe for sure. There's no chance of coming back to America. I loved that year so much.
Wow.
I grew so much as a player. I played every single game. There was no nonsense, no nonsense with the soccer side of things. And so in my head, I said, I'm just going to, come on vacation in New York for a couple months, and then I'll be back in Finland probably by February, March. We'll see what happens. And the team that I was with extended the invite, but I was looking to go probably to the top league in Finland after that year.
Yeah.
So I get home and I'm hanging out, doing my work, talking to my agent, being pretty steady on making sure we're plugging into teams to find what's going on. And then I get a call from Gary Smith to go to the Silverbacks. And without a hesitation, knowing the relationship I had with him at Colorado and him telling me that he was looking for me as the number one, I said, yes, I'm looking for that spot.
Yeah.
So, I take the spot, and it was a great decision, and it worked in my favor. In the sense that the Haitian national team immediately started calling me back in and led me back to being in the scheme of things with going to Gold Cup, eventually helping Haiti get into Copa America, and tournaments beyond that. It was a good time. The NASL was a high level league with high level players. Took care of the players. I was fortunate to play on, the Silverbacks. We had a decent year, but, I went to a great club in Minnesota United who gave me the opportunity to get some games when, I was fighting with a very good keeper for a number one spot. And then, I landed in San Francisco, and it was an interesting year for me where I didn't get the amount of play that I thought I deserved.
Yeah.
But I was with the most quality group of guys that I think in my whole career, like when I say a whole locker room of just guys that want to win, that was probably exactly equal to the Colorado locker room, the Denver locker room. And it was just all a bunch of warriors that every day go to work. We battle each other on the field, no holds barred. High soccer IQ. The biggest thing was the level of soccer IQ. And I think it separates the decent from the great.
Yeah.
And you see it as someone with a high level of soccer IQ, you see it when someone doesn't understand certain concepts. And there's a certain level of connection between players that have the same level of sports IQ. And it happens in basketball. It happens in all levels of soccer, and you see it between the good national teams and you see it between the bad national teams. Yeah. Because a lot of people call it team chemistry, but it's not really chemistry. It's just a level of IQ that is equal, and everybody's on the same level. So that being said, that was a team of high IQ, and when a concept was placed in front of them, they just did it no problem. Because it doesn't matter what the numbers are in front or in back. Yeah. It's you're a web, you're a team, you're an amoeba of players that just work together to make it happen. And it was the same in Colorado. It was the same demands from the coaches that I was seeing in SF, and the players' ability to take what the coaches tell them and add their flavor to the game and deliver what the coach is asking is something special. And that group of players was a group of players that can do it with no problem.
For sure.
And there's a certain amount of grit they had that made that group one of a kind. So my experience in that NASL was good. It taught me that there was a place for high-level soccer in America, and that there was a place for a second division that, you know, pays and takes care of players well, and encourages winning through a bonus and reward system. And I think it's why I chose the NASL early. When I feel like for the last 10 years, I've always felt myself ready and able to play. But I'm not always called into the matches. So on my end, I'm always ready. And it's just a matter of timing. It's a matter of what the federation is looking for in the moment. And I just do what I do as a professional. I prepare myself, and whenever Haiti wants to call me, they know I'm working. They see the resume building, and I'm hoping and looking forward to playing and being a part of that 23-man roster for sure.
For sure. And I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully you will represent Haiti once again.
Hey, thank you very much.
No problem. So now talking about your career, is there any match in particular that you can name that is probably the toughest game? One game that we talked about, is it against probably Nicaragua, or is it, a different game?
No, that Nicaragua game was really tough. But there are actually two other games that stick out in my head. One being the qualification for the Copa America against Trinidad.
Oh, yeah.
Which, both probably the same stage of games with being qualifying matches.
Yeah.
But this one was a match in which I spent with the club, or not the club, the national team, a month in Haiti. 3 weeks in Haiti, 2 weeks in Haiti training. And, as you know, the sacrifice of being an athlete, I missed Christmas with the family. I missed New Year's, just grinding out double sessions in Haiti to make sure I was fit for the game. And then doing another preseason as the rest of the team came in, with all the way down in Bradenton at IMG. We spent another
in Florida.
Yep, in Bradenton, Miami, or Bradenton, Florida. Sorry. Spent another 2 weeks out there getting prepared, and then so it's essentially 1 month of preparation for the biggest game of my life to date at that point.
Wow.
And a month of preparation, you're prepared. I'll tell you that much.
For sure.
I'll tell you, after a month of preparation for one game, you're prepared. And in that game, I faced a barrage of shots. One of which was a deflection save that, I'll never forget, and was probably the biggest save of my career.
Wow.
And we end up winning 1-0 in Trinidad.
Yeah.
As underdogs. And from there get the qualification for Copa America, which is the biggest tournament I've ever been a part of in my life, and against the best players I've ever played against in my life.
Yeah.
I think that game was one of them. I think a World Cup qualifier was Costa Rica. Costa Rica, another game in which we played a tough game. I faced a lot of shots, and we ended up losing 1-0 off a worldly volley from about 20 yards out across, off a clearance, off a corner kick.
Wow.
And ended up losing 1-0 in World Cup qualifying. And then, that Nicaragua game, as you said, was a two-leg game where we go up. I think we win the first game 3-1. We let up an easy, very silly 1 goal at home. And then go into Nicaragua, and all is good and gravy for about 80 minutes. I think we put in we put a goal in maybe the 78th minute. It gets called away from a corner kick. Clean goal. Every replay that shows it's a clean goal. There's no questions asked about it.
Yeah.
Whenever you see a replay, but obviously there's no replays in Caribbean or CONCACAF games. So the refs are able to make calls like that and essentially ruin something special.
Yep.
So not only are we robbed of a goal, but Nicaragua is given a penalty kick. another questionable call. And then from there, I think it just total meltdown on our team's part and my part, and we end up losing the game 3-0. Right, just like that, bang, 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 3 goals, and just don't qualify for the Gold Cup that year. And there were a lot of other things going on within the federation that, I think led to some of these us being in that situation in the first place. But it just led to us not being in the Gold Cup, and it was just a tough situation moving forward. Yeah. Sure.
And now, switching back to Colorado Switchbacks, what are your expectations for this upcoming season? What do you guys need to do differently this season that you guys need to improve on from last season?
So coming off of last season, I didn't really look outside for problems. I just looked from within, and it's easy to say what the problems are. We have to score one more goal than the other team to win a game, or we have to tie to get a point. 2 ways that happens: you either score a lot of goals or you don't let up a lot of goals.
Simple as that.
And in between, there has to be some good soccer. So I really did. I just took it as a challenge to myself. I hired on the same kid that I told you, my good buddy, Samir Lane, who was a triple jumper. He started his own fitness company called Fast Lane Fitness. So I hired him on as my strength coach, and I just embarked on a crazy building program for the last 3 months, and have been on my way to the best shape of my life, which I currently am, and I'm more explosive than I think I've ever been in my life. And looking forward to what the next 2 years brings. And I'm in my prime now, where, the skills that I needed to develop in Finland and moving all over the country, that I had to rely on for, a living.
Yeah, for sure.
I've sharpened those tools. And so now I'm at a point where I'm ready for the work that I put in to help the team just be better, So, as I said, I'm not looking out and saying, if it's that or it's that or it's that. And in my head, no, it's me. Yeah. If I get better, if I'm the guy, if I'm the one that no one can score on, then we win, And that's the kind of goalkeeper I've always been. That's the reason I've played at the level I play at. That's the reason the national team calls me, because at the end of the day, if I'm in the goal, we're going to win.
For sure.
And if the guys around me understand that, we win as a team.
Most definitely.
And it's why in college we were a small mid-range college, and we were always knocking on the door of the tournament. And it was because we all understood that if we just work together, I'm going to do the work that I have to do to be good, to be, to help the team. And if we just do it together, we're going to win.
Most definitely.
And I think that mindset, it takes a little while for teams to start accepting that mindset. And when I hold people accountable, I'm not a really nice guy on the soccer field. Like, I get at people, and I'm in their face. And some people don't know how to respond to it, and some people know that I'm just trying to win. And I think there was some pushback at, last year. Some people just really couldn't handle, like, a no-nonsense mentality. So, it was very lax. But I feel like this year I'm seeing a group of guys that share the no-nonsense mentality. And I think that will translate to the little things. It's easy to drop, or it's easy to play good when you're down 1 goal. It's very hard to be good at 0-0.
Yeah.
So I think those little inches are going to make us a better team in the future, because that grit that I was talking about at San Francisco and in Denver, I think I'm seeing pieces of that right now in preseason.
Well, okay. Well, I do wish you guys the best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And now in your goalkeeper career, who do you think is the best goalkeeper right now?
I think I'm the best goalkeeper right now. I think I'm the fittest goalkeeper in the country. I don't think there's anybody as explosive, as good with their feet, with the kind of resume that I have, heading, 12-year career experience-wise, age-wise at my prime. I don't see any goalkeeper that I can't compete with or that I can't beat out for a spot.
For sure. I like the confidence. That's good. And now, also talking about your career, who do you think is the best striker that you've came across? You mentioned Connor. You mentioned Edson Buttle. Would you possibly say Chris Wondolowski from San Jose Earthquakes?
Yeah, Chris, he banged on me a couple times. He's very good. He plays the game at a high level. He plays the game about 2 steps faster than most other strikers.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, it's hard. I've played with and against a lot of great strikers.
Yeah.
I'll give a list rather than just give one. Maybe I'll give a couple. And yeah, as you mentioned, Connor Casey, who's just, you can't read ever. He doesn't give you any clues. Edson Buttle, just a clinical finisher. The one that's popping in my head right now, Christian Ramirez, I think is one of the best strikers I've ever played against.
From Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Now LAFC.
Now at LAFC.
Yeah.
He was one. Yeah, I think he's top 3 of the strikers I've played with.
Wow.
Because I also, I'm not a betting guy, and I don't put money on soccer, but I definitely called Christian score more than 10 goals in his debut season in MLS, and he did it easily.
Yeah.
And it's just because he has every ability as a striker that you need. And he has a nose for the goal, and when he's in spots, he buries the ball. No questions asked. So he's up there for sure. I played with Hans Dennison, who was just a clinical finisher. Who else? Stefano Pino was up there. He was a Golden Boot winner for NASL. I played with him at Minnesota.
Yeah. He was at Miami, right?
He was at Miami for a little bit. Yeah, he crushed it. He's every bit of a great striker and deserves every bit of the goals he gets. And yeah, I think that rounds it out right there.
Okay. Now going back to Haiti, in your humble opinion, who do you think is the best player ever for Haiti that has represented them?
In my humble opinion, the best player ever for Haiti. Man, I don't even know. There's so many. We were talking about this before. There's just so many players that have done so many things for Haiti.
For sure.
But I think the group of guys that I've been playing with for the last 10 years in Haiti, I think those are some of those guys, the things that they're doing for the country, between Kevin's Belfort, Donald Guerrier as well. Yeah, Guerrier is, he's playing Champions League soccer.
Exactly.
He's playing for Carrera FC and in a big club. So he's putting the country on the map, and it's amazing and I think all of us, it's just amazing for the country, and it's awesome seeing how excited they are for their players, us, to keep the national sport on a high level, and be able to come back home and show the country that they've been working.
Yeah.
They grew up in Haiti. They were kids in the youth system, and now they're at the biggest levels. There's a few guys actually. Man, I'm so bad with names. There's so many names I come across. But his name will come to my head in a sec. But yeah, they all grew up in this. What was that?
Mechek Jerome, the center back.
He's up there for sure. There's also our number 10, just left-footed midfielder.
He was playing in France, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
France and Belgium.
Yeah. I forget his name as well.
I know all their nicknames. They're Haitian nicknames, but I forget their real names. Yeah. But yeah, these guys are, they're applying themselves. They're working hard, and they're showing a pathway for kids to, to stay humble, keep working, and then good things come from doing the right things. And they've done the right things, and now they're, you know, reaping the benefits of it. And I think that's the same for most people that represent their countries.
Yeah.
It's just showing kids that can relate that, hey, listen. And I think I do it for, you know, Haitian American kids. Like, I show them, like, hey, listen, there's a pathway. Stay in school, be studious in your work, apply yourself in training, and there's a way to find the success you're looking for.
Most definitely, for sure. And before we started the interview, Steward, you talked to me about you starting your academy. How did that come about, and how could people contact you to join?
Yeah, so I've had a passion not only for playing soccer, but for teaching soccer for a long time. I think so. My first, I've worked in soccer my whole life. My first job was refereeing soccer games when I was maybe 10 years old. No, 15 years old, I'd say. And I was making $20 a game. Yeah. I'd come every Saturday and Sunday to the rec leagues because I've been playing travel for so many years, and I know all the rules more than any of the parents. So I'd be reffing games and making, you know, $80 here, and all that did was fund my video game career early in my life. You know, but it was what I was doing. So around high school, I started doing camps and helping with camps. And then by college, I was definitely helping with, you know, the college summer camps and stuff like that, and learning about, you know, how to organize stuff like that, and helping my friends with clinics here and there. And then once I signed with the Rapids, I ramped it up. I started working with some of the Rapids guys that already had built things in Denver. Chris Sharpie had his core Goalkeeper Academy, and there were friends of friends that I found heavy in the coaching world. So I was getting pretty steady coaching gigs just out of fun and love of coaching, you know, and I was making money doing it, but it wasn't the money I was looking for, it was the experience. And something they talk about in a lot of the financial books. So a lot of times I was looking for experience and not really the money, because I feel like I become a better soccer player when I coach kids. And then another part of it is what I do now is, so Ceus Soccer Academy is essentially a future project for me that I've started back then. And my goal is down the road to be creating some of the highest level of IQ and intelligent soccer players in the country that can go on and go do whatever they want because they have a soccer tool in their hands that equals money. You know, the pool equals success. It equals the college scholarship, which is money. That's $40,000 that they don't have to pay.
Exactly, it's essential.
It's an essential tool, and you know, I have the knowledge set, the skill set, the physical capability, and the eye to tell somebody, hey, you're doing this wrong. If you do this every day, you'll get to this level. If you know, whatever level you want to get to is your problem. That's not my problem. That's your problem. If you want to get to a high level, you're going to work. If you don't want to get to a high level, you won't work. And that's onto you. But I do find myself attracting a level of soccer player that wants to get to the next level, be it high school varsity team, freshman team, college D1, college D3, professional, NASL or NPSL, USL, whatever their level is that they feel in their head is the level they want to get to. I will be able to create a pathway and a means to get there with the physical work and as well as technical work and the mental preparation that it takes within there. So that being said, I do a lot of specific goalkeeper training for goalkeepers throughout Denver and Colorado Springs. I can be found straight from my Instagram at Steward Ceus. And you can also find me on Coach Up if you're in the general vicinity. And yeah, I run sessions throughout the week, normally Tuesdays through Thursdays, but I'm open to a little flexibility within there, depending on my schedule. And the goal is to just help kids, young athletes, and adults, if any adults are interested, to get to the level that they want to get. If you want to go and play an intramural game and be the best one at intramurals, I'll help you get there. And it's just steady work.
Yeah, it's good to to have a mentor for little kids that that aspire to be, like how you said, probably a D1 player or even a professional player, because some kids, don't always have that mentor to look up to or even have the help, but that's good
Yeah.
that you're doing for young kids and as well
Yep.
as adults.
Yeah, and I was fortunate to have some very good soccer mentors in general, high level soccer coaches that understand the game.
Yeah.
But I never had a goalkeeper specific mentor.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm offering something that I was and I read it somewhere on Instagram that it's you should try to be what you didn't have as a kid.
Exactly.
And one of the things I didn't have was a goalkeeper specific mentor. And I didn't have that until I was at the Colorado Rapids.
Yeah.
And the relationship I have with that man, David Kramer, who told me he was just going to work on, I was a raw talent and he was going to help me get to the level of being a pro talent.
Yeah.
That relationship that I have is of someone that set a plan for me, and then we executed a plan for 4 years.
That's insane.
It does, you can't, it's hard to explain like the dynamic in there, because I've also from there gone to a bunch of places where they don't even create a 1-year plan. It's just a day by day.
Yeah.
Like every day they're figuring it out. But we created a 4-year plan, or step-by-step plan for 4 years of where I am and where he sees me getting and how able I am to get there.
Yeah.
And blowing by what he thought I was going to get to and getting to a higher level and, using that to further my career. And, I literally was texting him, and we're probably going to be having coffee pretty soon down in Denver because he's just that good of a guy.
For sure. And now moving forward, Steward, if you do eventually leave the Switchbacks, is there any team in particular that you would love to play for?
Twofold answer. As I said, I'm looking to play at the highest level possible for myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I put a team on it, I'd be limiting myself.
Yeah. Or any league?
League-wise, yeah. I want to play at a league that's at the MLS level or higher for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm ready for that jump again. I'm ready to say that again.
Leap of faith?
It's not a leap of faith. It's just it's the work I've put in,
Yeah.
It's just a fact of my skill level. Because I watch soccer. I watch the goalkeepers, and I know they're not at my level.
Yeah.
I've played against EPL teams, and I watch the goalkeepers, and I know I've outplayed them in a game. I played against national team goalkeepers that I've outplayed who are playing in La Liga, who are playing in the EPL, and I've outplayed them on the day.
Yeah.
So when I say I trained at Sunderland for a week and a half, and I was training with the best in the world, with a goalkeeper coach who had trained Casey Kellerman when he was at Sunderland, and who gave me he told me, listen, you have everything it takes, just go do it,
Wow.
And yeah, it was those experiences in my life, sitting at dinner with Martin O'Neill, and Martin O'Neill coming to a training session, seeing me warm up and saying, hey, throw him in with the first team, he's ready. Those experiences strengthened me as just an individual to know where my skill set lies. Because a lot of times in the world, and they talk about it on TV and almost everywhere, they talk about it, how people will shoot you down just because they have power to, and you see it with, if you talk about life in acting or life in modeling, where people throw you down so hard, but it's just because they don't know how else to throw you down.
Exactly. They don't want to see you succeed.
Yeah, that's a fact, and some people know how good you are or how talented you are at something, but they just don't have the job for you or whatever. And then they feel like it's probably best to just tell you whatever is on their mind, but nobody cares at that point,
Exactly.
So that being said, I just feel like I'm ready for whatever level, and that's just more on me to do the work to get to the level that I need to be at.
For sure.
And that's a part of being a pro is the work behind the scenes and making sure teams know who you are, teams see your resume, the exact same as anybody else finding a job.
Yeah.
It's exact. If your resume is strong enough and you're good enough, you could go get a really bad job.
For sure.
Or you can go and look for a really good job that has a 2-month interview process, and you have to work for. you know, and I will go for a 6-month interview process if I have
Yeah.
to show them that I'm better than everybody else
Yeah.
that they have around.
Yeah.
And that's how I approach it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be at a club that I feel is right for where I am in my career at my next stop for sure. And that being said, to answer your question, to the second part, I'd love to be closer to home. I have growing nieces. I have a beautiful family back home in New York. My parents are, almost senior citizens. They're close. They might even be there already. So I'd like for them to not have to travel so far to come visit me. And you know, it's been 12 years of me being either in Europe or on the west side of the world of the country. So I'd like to work my way back to the East Coast, and there's plenty of teams in New York and many teams on the East Coast that would fulfill that need of my level. So I think I'll take the show back to the East and settle into the East Coast and see what the next phase of my career brings, soccer wise, and obviously I'm always going to be building on the coaching side and beyond. And New York is where the best rappers are at too.
Yeah. Okay. And now talking about rapping career, how we were talking about it before, talk to us more about in depth about your rapping career.
Yeah. So overall, I would say I've been a musician my whole life. I learned music at an early age. I played the trumpet as a youth, all over the place, church, orchestra, band, jazz band, marching band, you name it, I was in it. And I think the performance aspect sparked something inside of me that was similar to playing in a soccer game or a basketball game or any of that. And I chased that feeling, essentially, which is why I've stayed in sports for so long, because I love that feeling of training really hard for something and then going out and showing, like, hey, like, I've been training and I have a product to show you, and it's a winning product, you know? So, yeah, I stayed pretty close to music, and I've loved rap my whole life. You know, I'm able to rap along to some of the best rappers, word for word, the fastest rappers, word for word, and I really respect the craft. And at a certain point, after listening to so much rap, you end up becoming a rapper, I think, in your own way, you know? And I think everybody has a story to tell, and I've always loved to write. And I think rap is just kind of the coolest way for me to share my story with the world of what, you know, I don't get a huge voice as a soccer player. There's not so much media around soccer players asking questions about how we feel and stuff like that, which, you know, at a certain level, people don't really care, you know? And I think rap is a cool way to explore my personal life, explore my, how I'm thinking, what I think, how I move, you know, how I look at things. And the energy that I put into my work is, I think, my rap. I think my rap shows the energy that I put into my work, and it translates directly. Yeah. So that being said, I started rapping as I got bored on my bicycle. I got bored. I was doing long bike rides, living in San Francisco, being a full-time commuter. I was doing long bike rides daily and weekly, doing, you know, on the weekends after soccer games, maybe 40, 50 miles. During the week, I'd ride 6 miles to training, 6 miles back from training. Just starting to prepare myself for this physical work that I need to be able to be ready for this moment, which is what I'm doing. I put that whole foundation on the bicycle. And I was spending hours on the bicycle, like 3 a day at least on the bicycle, and listening to podcasts. I was listening to books. I was listening to music. I listened to, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad on one day, Finance the next day, Dave Ramsey the next day, music the next, and then at some point my ears it's just too much, so I turned it off and just would ride, and I'd get so bored in my head. I started rapping, and I started flowing, and I was like, wow, I can actually rap. Like, I can actually rap, and I'm out of breath on the bicycle, and which is a whole nother thing, is, you know, being able to sing or talk or whistle. I whistle on the bicycle is something that I do just to make sure my lungs are able to take the air in and, you know, perform all that stuff. So, it just kind of stemmed from there. And next thing I knew, I was on one bike ride, I was GoProing the whole San Francisco, city of San Francisco, and I have that my rapping in the background, and I actually wrote it down and turned it into a song, which I'm probably going to be releasing in the next couple months. And I'll probably be releasing that video as well in the next couple months. I've been holding on to that for a while. But yeah, it started like that. And then, you know, I started messing around with I started writing a lot on the train when I was on the train. And then eventually started putting some of my raps together, and I made my first blueprints of songs in my friend's guest room in Denver when I was staying in Denver for the last off season. I put a few blueprints down, you know, and they got good reviews from some of my friends. And in this off season, I went to a production studio in Broomfield, Colorado, and laid down the blueprints as studio quality tracks, and just released my first album, the Llama vs. Lion EP, and it's available on iTunes and soon to be on Spotify and Tidal and all the other major platforms here in the US. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been a fun project, and a lot of time and blood, sweat, money, work.
Yeah.
All of that, all in there.
It would all pay off in the end, though, right? It would all pay off.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it, and I love the idea of music being out there, and I love creating art. So it's just a fun thing for me to do, and a great way to spend my time and really use my mind to work and not so much my body, as I've been doing with soccer all the time.
Yeah. And now going back to Caribbean teams, Steward, what do you think Caribbean teams need to do to get to the next round, possibly in the Copa Oro, or even in World Cup qualifying? Because we know that there's a lot of talent: Trinidad, Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, Martinique, you name it, you know. But what do you think?
I think for Caribbean teams to be more successful, I think there has to just be more unity within the organizations, from the top level down. And I think that the IQ required to be a winning team is also the IQ required for it to be a winning organization.
Yeah.
So that being said, it starts from the top to the bottom, and as the whole organization becomes better at supporting the engine that runs the team, I think eventually the team becomes a better functioning unit as well. So yeah, I think the philosophy behind what it takes to be a great team just needs to be explored more, because I'm not gonna lie, the talent I see when I'm playing with these kids, with my teammates and grown men in Haiti, is the best talent I've seen in the world. Wow. The best players. They're amazing, these kids. It's crazy. Yeah. They're as fast as anybody. Who's faster than Jamaican and Haitian and African players, you know? Especially when it comes to just straight up sprints and the explosion I see in some of the players next to me, it's crazy, you know? And I think just what it takes is, it's different growing up in a third world country than it is in a country that has everything, and where you grow up in a system where, let's say a Barcelona system, where, you know, you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner cooked for you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the little inches that you gain there puts you that much higher when you're ready for the pro life or the national stage, you know? And so where I say the organization and stuff like that, money is massive in the world of soccer. And as long as these countries don't have the same money that America has, that I get to experience in the soccer world here, with grass fields everywhere and full-time training everywhere, it's going to be hard to grow and keep up with teams that have everything. Yeah. And as you know, the scandals in FIFA are crazy. They're crazy. And if you think money's being skimmed here and there through FIFA, you're right. it's happening.
Yeah.
And there's documentaries and all types of literature to show you that. And it affects national teams. It affects. They're not paying the players the way they need to pay the players. They're not paying the Haitian kids enough money the Haitian players enough money to go and train by themselves, so that they have to go get a job after they go to national team training.
Wow.
But I've been fortunate to be able to afford to just work on my craft and build a lifestyle around myself that allows me to just work on my craft.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in different countries don't get the opportunity to, which is another reason why a lot of Haitian players for the national team are playing abroad or living abroad and live in Haiti, because it's tough to just be a national team player living in Haiti.
Yeah.
But in Mexico, they're living and playing in Mexico in their hometown, making great money,
living lavishly.
They're taken care of. They're probably getting meals by their team at the stadium.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. And the same thing's happening in some of the other big Germany. The Germans are playing in Germany.
Yeah.
France has a strong league. United States, they're not. Some of the kids, the best ones, aren't even going. They're not even trying to go to Europe anymore.
Yeah.
They're staying right here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, money is a huge thing in sports. There's no hiding that.
Yeah.
There's you can't hide money as one of the major things in sports.
For sure.
So yeah, when push comes to shove, with everything said and done, the team with more money gets the home game for a big game. It's just those things that add into the total picture. And I think Haiti's made great strides in the last decade, and I think they're on their way up. But I think one major way to get money is just support from the nation. And the nation has to support the team, and the individuals in the nation have to support the team. And once you see that all starting to work together, then I think it can all grow. Right. But yeah, there's a few things. There's a lot of things that have to be changed, but I think overall it's in going in the right direction. Especially when we're able to show up in Copa Americas and Gold Cups, and qualifying for big tournaments is a major part of that.
For sure. And now to finalize the interview, Steward, what advice would you give to little kids that aspire to become professional soccer players? Like advice that that you would have wanted as a little kid, Yeah, the advice that I'm gonna give is the advice that I got. Put your head down and work, and a little better every day. Yeah.
There's no substitution for working. There's never gonna be an easy button. If you feel like people are outworking you, then they probably are, and I thrive on knowing what other people's schedules are, and knowing what people do, and knowing when they go to gym, because I know I go to gym more than them.
Yeah.
And I know I work out harder than them, and I know they're not close to the kind of work ethic I have. So I thrive on stuff like that. I love asking people what they're doing and knowing that they're going out drinking and knowing I'll be in the gym chilling.
Yeah.
So even when I was in college, Friday night, what are you doing? Oh, you're going out to drink? I'm going to the library, and then I'm going to the gym, and then I might have a drink at home, maybe.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a work first, play later attitude. But it's also a work to get your time to yourself. In order to get free time, you have to do the work.
For sure.
If you find yourself doing more free time than work, then you're on the wrong side. It's a seesaw. If you find yourself with so much time and there's no work getting done, then you have to bring that seesaw back down to start getting yourself to the point where there's work, and then just enough time that you get everything back to equilibrium. So work smart, and work hard. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Steward, for your amazing time, for your intellectualism. Thank you so much, and best of luck for the Colorado Switchbacks, and hopefully you guys win the championship. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you everybody for looking at my video. If y'all liked it, please like and subscribe. I will be releasing more content soon. But like I said, if you guys could speak your word about me to your friends, colleagues, parents, cousins, that would be grateful. Thank you so much. See you next time.